Women in Focus, a podcast by British Naturism. Hi, and welcome to Women in Focus, a podcast brought to you by British Naturism. I'm your host, Helen Berryman, and today we bring you episode 18. Today I'll be speaking to another fellow advocate of Women in Naturism, but more about that shortly. I want to tell you about an unforgettable day we shared at British Naturism's Sunfolk. Our vibrant new venue in St Albans was the setting for Naked Retro Gaming Live. Simon and I, with the help of our retro gaming collection, well rather Simon's gaming collection, set up a full day of pixel-powered fun. A variety of classic machines from, I am reading this out because it doesn't mean a lot to me, but from Sinclair ZX81, ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64, Sega Mega Drive, Sony PlayStation. It was an incredible atmosphere, actually. Some gathered to relive their childhood and others experiencing these games for the first time. And yeah, they really are that old. What truly stood out that day was how it perfectly embodied the spirit of naturism. Naturism isn't just about body confidence. It's about community, connection, comfort. It's about coming together and enjoying the things we love, completely at ease with who we are. And that's exactly what the Naked Retro Gaming event was all about. To round off the day, we had a barbecue on the lawn, a communal barbecue. Everyone pitched in, brought some food, cooked it all, shared it all over a few drinks. It was a great day. The Naturism calendar is filling up. We are booked in for festivals and other events. It's going to be a really, really busy time, so lots more to bring to you. Today, I'm excited to introduce my guest, Andee Rodgers, an inspiring advocate for women and body positivity. Andee has dedicated herself to breaking down misconceptions around naturism. She creates safe space for women, promoting self-love and acceptance. As a passionate leader with the American Association of Nude Recreation, she's worked tirelessly within the community. She's come up with several ideas that I've used too because they're so good, and naturism is all about sharing. So without further ado, please welcome Andee. Welcome, Andee.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, it's great to have you on. You're sort of my counterpart in the States. So what I do for BN, you do for AANR.
Correct.
So tell me about that. Tell me about your role. Well, let's start with how you got into naturism, first of all.
Sure. So I wanted to surprise my husband one year when we were going on vacation. And so I booked a nudist resort, didn't tell him until we pulled up. And then he was very excited because he's a self-proclaimed nudist his whole life. And I said, don't expect me to get naked because this is all for you. And we parked our RV and we're setting up. And by the end of the weekend, I was feeling mostly comfortable to be nude. But there weren't many people around. And so that was a really great introduction for me. The next year, we went to a different club and we fell in love with it. And so we started attending that club very regularly, became members, and eventually I became very comfortable without any clothes on at all. But it took me a few years to walk around without a sarong around my waist. I would do it sometimes, but not all the time. But it was a few years before I was entirely comfortable with just being myself. And that had a lot to do with the women, how they encouraged me and made me feel.
Okay, so how long ago was that?
I think it's 8 years ago.
Okay, 8 years. Wow.
So I'm relatively new.
Well, so am I.
I think it's relatively new to naturism or nudism. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm on my 5th year.
Oh, excellent.
Okay, so you mentioned that it took you a fair while or a number of visits before you were comfortable enough to completely bare all.
Yeah.
What was your relationship like with your body up till then?
I hated it. I always hated it. Even when I was bone thin, I hated my body. I was told as a little girl that I was ugly, homely, primarily by my older brother, who was just a jerk. But at school, I never fit in with anybody, and they would call me and taunt me, call me ugly names and tell me that I was just ugly.
That's horrible.
It was not great. I was always compared to my older sister who had long, beautiful blonde hair, and she was lovely. And so I knew I just wasn't. And so I had absolutely no self-confidence. And then as I got married, I had my children, and then so I had a little more to a figure, but I didn't like the addition of the mommy belly and the stretch marks. And so that was a different set of problems. And each decade, I just, something was wrong with my body. I didn't like it. I hated it until naturist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's the crazy thing that I've thought about before. Like, as a woman, first of all, we go through our teenage years and the influx of these new hormones that we have no idea what to do with.
So awkward.
Then if we're lucky enough to have children, we then have the stretch marks or the extra flesh to go with it. Then we get through that, and then the menopause.
I know.
There's even more stuff at you. So, yeah, it's an awful lot to go through.
Yeah.
So, naturism for you then, what's it given you? And what does it give you?
It's given me a love of myself that I never thought was possible. Because the women that I would meet with, or we sit around on my patio and we're drinking a glass of wine, or we're having coffee in the morning, and they would share with me the positive things that they saw in me, which helped heal my mental well-being first and foremost, which I think had to happen before I could love myself. So I had to figure that out, but they helped me do it. Also, my second husband, Tom, was also instrumental in helping me to learn to love myself. He tells me daily how beautiful I am and what a wonderful person I am and how strong I am. So along with him, but also the women that helped me see myself for who I truly was. Helped me finally befriend myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Because you're unlearning all that you knew leading up to that. And, the more people tell you you're rubbish or, not good enough, then you start to believe it. And over a number of years, that's your truth.
Yep.
And you had to learn how to be different, or what the actual truth was, that you are beautiful and lovely and
correct. Yeah.
And all that.
Yeah.
But it takes an awful lot of time. So I'm guessing, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the interactions that you had with the women at the resorts and parks and things that gave you the confidence maybe inspired you to get more involved with American Association of Nude Recreation. Oh, British Naturism, so much easier.
Yes, it totally is, isn't it? We just call it AANR, but not everybody knows what that means. Actually, the club that we belong to, Serenity Mountain Retreat, asked us or me to be the director. They send a representative to the regional meetings to represent your club. So that's how I got started with AANR. And at those clubs, so my region is the Northwest, where we encompass Washington, Idaho, Oregon, Alaska, and Montana. No clubs in Alaska.
I was going to ask
that. No, lots of naturists, but no clubs. And so I represented my club, and then I loved everything about what AANR represents, about being a nudist and helping people find this way of life. I loved that concept. And so I became the Women in Nude Recreation chair for my region. And then eventually the president of AANR asked me to be the national chair. So each region, we have 7 regions in the US and Canada, has a chair, a winner chair, but I'm the winner chair overall nationally.
Oh, okay. So what does your role involve?
It involved whatever I made it involve. I had no idea what I was going to do to connect women across the country. I didn't have a clue. And then one of my favorite movies is Calendar Girls.
Oh, yeah.
Helen Mirren and just that amazing cast of women in that movie. I watch it several times a year. And what they did as far as loving themselves at the age they were at, I thought that's fantastic. Let's give that a try. And because I'm a word geek, I want to add word to it. I wanted ladies to pick a word that spoke to them about what naturism has done for them or what being a part of this community has done for them. And so that's how the WOW campaign, Women One Word campaign, came about. And it really, really took off and really did well. The first year sold about 400 calendars.
Wow.
I'll backtrack a little bit. The campaign I put out there on social media for a month or so. So this year it's May. And it extends as people keep sending me their contributions. So the month of May, I try to inundate social media with these positive words and these powerful women that are sharing their truth. Different social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on the different naturist websites and things I did on A Naturist World. But after that is completed, I make a calendar out of everyone's submissions. And that's how the calendar came about. So you get to be a calendar girl, which is, I think, really cool.
It is really cool. And you've had contributions from not just in America. I mean, I contributed this time.
Yes.
And
yes.
I know another one of our British people, Anna, as well.
Yes. Yeah. Which is fabulous. International, which is even better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You might find the same, that naturism does unite us all over the world.
It does. It completely does. Yeah. It's a community. And no matter where you go, you find that community. And it's one of the most accepting, non-judgmental communities I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, I agree. It's the same. And I think once you actually experience true naturism, a lot of women do become very passionate about it and want other people or other women to know what it's done for them and how it may have healed them.
Yeah.
That leads me to my next question. A lot of women have maybe suffered abuse, sexual violence, bullying of some description, and use nudity as a healing tool. Can you relate to that in any way?
I can relate to that in every way.
Okay.
As I mentioned before, my oldest brother was my tormentor, and he abused me in every way possible when I was a little girl. Starting from age 5, he would make every day was his goal to make me cry. If he could make me cry before noon, that was a great day for him.
Oh, my goodness.
And then when he got older, he experimented on me with his sexuality. And so that abuse lasted about a year, and then I just couldn't take it anymore. And so I told him, I'm done. I don't like this. And he amped up his other abuses when I wouldn't let him use me anymore. And so at a certain point, I just had enough. And so I tried to commit suicide. I was 12 or 13 years old, and I had just made my peace with the world and took a bunch of pills and went to bed and didn't expect to wake up because it was just that bad.
That's horrendous.
And so my parents tried to figure out what was wrong, and I confided more in my grandmother than I did in them, but of course they told her.
Yeah.
And then the abuse stopped. I don't know if Dad explained to my brother that what he was doing made me want to kill myself. And if he stopped, or if he just, beat the living daylights out of him, which was how we handled things back then.
Right.
Or a combination of the two, But he pretty much left me alone after that. And on down the line, we had more of a regular, I believe, brother-sister relationship. But that also led to a lot of my hatred towards myself and my body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you unlearn something like that when your own family member thinks your body is their tool,
Yeah.
How do you cope with that?
Not very well.
No.
At some point. But I had a lot of healing with God as well. So work through a lot of that. And then I confronted him as an adult and talked with him about it. And he apologized for what he had done. And that helped too. But, and I think, and then naturism had a whole lot to do with that as well.
Yes.
Finding all the things that need healing.
Yeah.
And there was a lot. And then Tommy, my second husband really helped me a lot with that healing as well. He's a very patient, very tender man. And so he helped me through with a lot of figuring out that healing as well.
Yeah, because it's not just, well, with the healing, it's not just your physical self, it's you, isn't it? It's your authentic inner self and inner battles that you've fought or had to endure. That's, yeah.
The physical, well and done. It's the emotional and mental that hang on for the decades sometimes.
It's true. It's true. And I think you'll agree that, well, the reason I do what I do is to give back some of what I've got from other people. And, you know, like I said before, unlearning the negativity that you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
Because in the naturist environment, the judgment's gone. Like there's nothing. You're not seeking validation for anything from anybody. You're just you.
Yeah. People just want to get to know you.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll just talk about Anna a bit more. For people that don't know, so you're quite the advocate for Anna. Can you tell us about some of the core values that Anna represents or promotes?
So AANR, ANR is a short way to say it, has been in existence since 1931. And what it does is protect the nudist and naturist rights to be nude in appropriate settings, of course.
Right.
To promote nude recreation in the nudist community, and then provide support as to our members and those clubs who have chosen to join the association. And so they do many things, but one of their primary goal is to keep our right to be nudist when it's being challenged. And that's primarily through the government. And so our government affairs team, we call them GAT, because we love acronyms. They look for these bills and they see if they can talk to the legislatures and change the wording and say, hey, I don't know if you meant this, but this is what your bill is doing. And many times the wording is changed.
Right. Because, I mean, America is huge and there's different laws in different states. And I guess some of them ban or prohibit nudity altogether. It's illegal, right?
There's I would say, I'm probably going to be wrong on the number, but 5 out of the 50 states that do not allow social nudism, but primarily most of them do. So not in public, of course, but in appropriate settings. And so that would be your nudist club or a nudist beach. I don't know if you have nudist beaches.
We do. We don't go to them very often. It's too cold, but
it's too cold. Exactly.
In fact, my first nude beach was actually in Antigua. Hadn't been.
Oh, really? Okay. Warmer there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So in most states, the ones that allow nudity or nudism, are you able to walk down the street if you wanted to, nude or not?
No. I mean, there's some states that say you can, but only if you don't infringe on someone else's rights or their comfort.
Yeah.
So not in a downtown.
Right.
No, not even in the crazy towns like Portland where anything goes. No, which is where we live, which is on the West Coast. But we do have groups that go out hiking.
Right.
And so on certain lands, you're allowed to do that. But if you come across another group of hikers, it's polite to cover, just out of respect for others.
Okay. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I think in the UK, we can walk around completely naked if we want to, although it is socially unacceptable to do so in... I wouldn't go shopping in a supermarket, for example.
Right.
And if we were to go on a naturist hike or something, then it is sort of common courtesy, especially if you see a group of children, just to sort of cover,
right.
While you pass, or, acknowledge the people, hello, good morning,
Right.
Because just going for a walk or not.
Well, and then that's up to their parents, and that's a decision for the parents, not a decision for other folks. But social nudism is very healthy for children.
Yeah.
To grow up in the nudist environment, they have better
mental
well-being and more self-confidence.
Yes, and very little body dysmorphia, I feel, because they see normal bodies,
Correct.
what normal bodies look like. And,
Yes.
they're not just relying on the visuals they see on social media as to what a body looks like, because that's all rubbish.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. One of the key messages of naturism or nudism is body positivity.
Yes.
And we talk about that in terms of like healing. But how do you explain what we mean by it increases your body positivity?
It just gives you so much confidence to be who you are or be just the way you are. The confidence goes off the charts.
Yeah.
Because you're accepted for just who you are,
Mm.
whether you're a size 2 or a size 20, or if you have scars, if you've had your breasts removed, or you have some, burns, it doesn't matter. And so when you take those societal things away, but society says, well, you can't show this because nobody wants to see that, your confidence skyrockets off the charts.
When people say nobody wants to see that, I don't know how to verbalize it. You're not being seen. It's not about wanting to be seen. It's about being.
Right.
Period.
It is. And it's such an oxymoron that you take off the societal norms, the clothing, to accomplish that. Never would have thought that in the first 50 years of my life. That I always tried to find the right things that would help me feel better.
Yeah.
The right pair of jeans or the right blouse or the right whatever that would make me feel confident to be me. And it wasn't until I took all those things off that I finally found the person that I wanted to be.
Well, nothing fits you better than your own skin.
Nothing does. And befriending that skin.
Yeah, like our bodies are vessels that, I say it a lot, but carries us through life.
Yeah.
Scars and all.
Yeah.
This is a life well worn. Mine is anyway.
Yeah, very much so. Having confidence is what, as a child, I wished I could have had that confidence. As a teenager, I wish I could have had that confidence. As a young mother as well. And I just never did. So the confidence, I think, leads to better mental well-being. And the confidence that comes with being a nudist or a naturist is accomplished so easily. You're immediately accepted into this community of people. There's no wait period. Everybody walks by and says hello. Everybody says, hey, we're doing this. Come and join us. Or, hey, we're going to go do water volleyball. You need to come join us. And so
it's surprising, isn't it?
Not anymore.
No.
I just expect it. But it certainly was. It really was surprising. I mean, even in a close community that I used to live in, I knew all my neighbors, but we didn't do that.
No.
That wasn't what we did. So.
But do you wish you'd found it years ago? I certainly do.
I sure do.
Yeah.
I do. I think I found it at just the right time because we got into it fairly soon after we got together, but there was the first marriages for both of us in there. That never was on the radar during that 27 years, being married to someone else, and a church leader and a youth group leader and a worship leader and the church, never would have put those two together. But we attend a church that we used to attend years ago, and everybody knows we're nudists, and they're just super curious about it and have so many questions. And like, don't your feet get cold? Or, I wear shoes. I also wear clothes when it's cold because I'm not an idiot.
Yeah.
But I think there's a shift there that social nudism, specifically in this church that we're attending periodically, that it's okay because Adam and Eve, that's a religious thing. I don't know if we want to get into that either.
Have you heard of the Christian Naturist Fellowship?
I've heard of the Christian Naturist Association. So, yeah,
So they do coexist. And a couple of episodes ago, I did quite a lengthy discussion with Sheila Maycock about the Christian Naturist Fellowship and how naturism and Christianity are linked.
They absolutely.
You know, they can coexist quite nicely.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, that's another episode.
There's also this wonderful woman. She's in the calendar. She's Miss December, and her words were of a Christian nature, but she's part of the Christian Naturist Society. But a lot of their work was also geared towards healing men of their addiction to pornography.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah.
Because they see a woman in a completely different light. So if you're looking at these unrealistic pictures and these very sexualized human beings, and that's all you're seeing, there's your addiction. But when you see real women and connect with real women, then their addiction gets broken. It's fabulous that naturism is healing in that way for men.
Yeah, well, there's nothing sexy about any naturist park that I've ever been to.
No. Non-sexual social nudism. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're there for anything else, you'll be sorely disappointed.
And escorted off the grounds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
So do you see naturism playing a role in challenging societal beauty standards?
Yeah, I think there's several things that are challenging society's beauty standards, primarily with having larger women in roles, TV, movies, and things such as that, or talk shows.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have existed 20 years ago. And then, gosh, that's a hard one, Helen. I think it can. I think it absolutely can, because it changes everybody's perception of what we've learned all these years about society, what we have to conform to be accepted, what we have to conform to be beautiful. So naturism could totally do that, and is on a very small level, I think, with the work that you're doing, the work that I'm doing, with trying to get the WOW campaign out there so women can see that there are other women strong and beautiful, and they're not the societal norms. I think it can. I think it's going to be a very, very slow uphill battle.
Is it?
Until social nudism is, accepted in the U.S., which I think it's declining currently.
Right.
I think we've got a lot of battles ahead of us with the laws, with the government affairs team working on battling stuff so often.
Yeah. So Anna are doing a lot of work to protect the rights of naturists in the US. And that is why, and same with British Naturism, that's why membership is so important.
Right.
Because the money used is to protect our rights.
Yes.
And without British Naturism challenging the laws in the UK, it would still be illegal. However, it's not. And the police have been trained on how to handle naturists out and about.
Yeah, primarily trying to maintain our rights.
Yeah, absolutely that.
But also promoting how healthy social nudism is, and that it would be great to be seen as a norm instead of as something strange.
Well, even in the short time that I've been a naturist, the conversations that I have in the textile world, people are interested, but it's becoming less and less of a thing. It's like, oh yeah, oh me too. I went on a holiday and I did this, and I took my bra, or I did topless, and it's not a big deal anymore. Just in those 5 years already,
right?
Because people are talking about it more,
right? And it's interesting that when we talk about it, people don't seem as shocked as maybe you thought they might have been. They're like, oh, well, that's interesting. Yeah. Don't you get cold? Yeah. So they come up more with questions and with, oh, I can never do that till I lose some weight.
Right.
And that leads way to me talking about, well, no, you don't have to lose weight.
Yeah.
You are fine just the way you are. You're perfect. And that gives me the opening to talk about all the things that I love to talk about, what social nudism has
absolutely
for me and what it can do for you.
And you just mentioned Imperfect, which brings us on to your second part of your campaign, the Imperfect Tour. Do you want to tell everyone about that?
Right. So one of the WOW women chose the word imperfect, but she capitalized the I and the P, changing the narrative to I'm perfect when you look at it.
That's clever.
It is clever and beautiful and empowering in so many ways. And so I dubbed the tour the I'm Perfect Tour. And along with my husband, Tom, we went on a 16 club, 8 state 4,000-mile
Wow.
tour where I presented the concepts that you are perfect the way you are and gathered more wow women on the way. But mostly I wanted to edify them and let them know that it's okay to be just who you are. And through telling my entire story. And then on the tour as well, Tom would meet with the men because I would only meet with women because when you put a man in a room, sometimes the conversation changes or women don't feel free to talk.
Yeah.
So he met with the men and had great conversations always about AANR. And a lot of folks didn't know why they needed to belong to the association. And he'd let them know exactly why.
Oh, good. Great.
Yeah. But the tour continues this year. We didn't get up to Canada. And so we've got at least 2 clubs in Canada and a few more still here in the Northwest. So the tour continues in July. So,
Oh, are you going to Bear Oaks in Canada?
no, we're going to Helios and Greenhaven, Western Canada. So we ever get to the East Coast, which I don't know if we ever will, but
Oh, that's on my to-do list.
But there's another woman who's the WINR chair for the Southwest region, and she is doing a tour this year. So she's taking the concept and she's going to do it in her region with her story. And I'm excited for them to do that, she and her husband.
That's very exciting times at Anna. It's women heavy at the top at the moment, isn't it?
It is. Yes, it is with Linda Weber. You bet. She's making some great changes and trying to just kind of revamp the association, give it new direction, new ideas.
I think she's trying to involve the membership as well, which is good.
Oh, so much so. I mean, she's doing so many things. Linda Weber, absolutely strong woman, working to give Anna maybe a new vision, definitely to amp up membership, but also help the members that have joined really understand the benefit of that membership and the value that their money goes to help support.
Yeah, I think that's really important, actually, so that members get value for money, basically. They know what they're paying into and why, and the good that it does.
Yeah.
Because without organisations like Anna and British Naturism, it would be a lot harder to get our confidence that means so much to us. Yeah.
It would. Especially one of the things that I like about having that AANR stamp on your club, say your website has it on their little logo. So you know that you're going to a club that supports family values.
Yes.
That's, I think, hugely another benefit of having the AANR association. And also for women that are traveling alone, you can see that and know that that's a family-oriented club. So I think it's scary as a woman to travel alone. And having that affiliation gives a woman an idea that that would be a safe place to go.
Yeah, because can you imagine if you get it wrong and you end up at a non-naturist place and it's all full of swingers and that's your introduction to naturism, you're scarred for life then, aren't you? You're like, no.
Yeah, you're not going back, not doing that again.
Not a chance.
Yeah.
But so naturism is still sometimes seen as a taboo subject topic. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced during your advocacy for naturism and how do you overcome them?
That's a great question. The biggest challenge, I think, for me, I'll go back to the tour, was that people didn't know that WINR even existed. In the same way, a lot of clubs didn't know why they belonged to AANR. They had no clue that there was a woman in nude recreation position, or what's that, or they would say, well, so WINR? You mean like wine? No, wine, not wine. It's WINR. But they just didn't know what it meant or have any concept. It was all about education, I guess, is what it was all about, the tour, and educating women that there are other women out there and we all need to connect together to build each other up and make each other stronger. So I encouraged women to create a group at their club, or even if they were a home club, to just meet together as women and talk about lighthearted things, yes, but also get into some deep conversations as well. My challenge is that people don't know.
Exactly. Your challenge is ignorance, really. If people are ignorant about what naturism is.
Yeah.
And that's true because media, particularly in the past, have portrayed naturism, nudism very innuendo, very tongue-in-cheek, very look at those poor people without their clothes on.
Right.
And
or as an embarrassing thing. It's embarrassing or it's lewd. And that's how we're portrayed in the media. Or funny, like you're a nudist, and so that's funny.
That makes you odd, or yes, it's to be laughed at or something.
Yeah. Yes.
And so I think, again, in the short amount of time that I've been involved in naturism, that the narrative is changing a little bit. There's still like haha and silly comments on things that are portrayed in the media, but less so. And people do want to know about it. And what does it do for you? Why do you do it? What did you get out of it? What got you into it? And I'm still sort of new enough to remember how revolted I was actually to hear that Simon was a naturist. And he knew that it would help me if I actually ever experienced it. But it took him a long time to get me to agree. In fact, it came during the lockdown. My mind sort of shifted a little bit and I began to think, the problem is not naturism, it's me.
Right.
And let's go and have a look. And at least then I can shut him down, if nothing else. And that was my little eureka moment. It was like, whoa, no one's looking at me at all. Like, no one even noticed that I've just taken my clothes off, which I've been, frightened to do. And nothing happened. It was unremarkable. So I was like, wow, okay, I get it now. I'm telling everyone. So
one of the calendar girls this year, her word was yes, and her name's Jenny. She came out of, I think a lot of people came out of the lockdowns with a different idea in mind of what nudism was, because they're doing it at home.
Yeah.
And let's expand that and let's go out. And she joined the tour last year here in Arizona. Her word was yes, because she was just tired of saying no.
That's lovely.
To what she wanted to do. And so she's like, my word is yes. She came up to me. She was so emboldened and she's like, I've got my word. And she wanted to share it with others. So it's very empowering. Say yes.
Yeah.
Prior to saying no.
And what was your word during that campaign?
Camaraderie.
Right.
But this year, my word is, so if anybody wants to join the campaign, you're welcome to this year. Then go to the website and check it out. But is glorious.
Glorious. Nice.
I feel glorious. Nudism has been a glorious thing for me. And so I'll write a little story that goes with that. And that's my word this year.
Yeah. Right. How do you address the stigma surrounding naturism, especially when it comes to misconceptions about sex and inappropriate behavior?
Well, those conversations come up when we're trying to talk our friends, I think, primarily into trying the nudist way of life. A lot of people think it's about sex because that's what the media relays. But then when they find out that it is like absolutely non-sexual behavior and it's not even tolerated, that we kick people out for that kind of behavior, that it changes their concept.
Yeah.
But still, my mind keeps going back to the conversations that I have in restaurants, in the bathroom with women. How that comes up, I don't even know. But I talk to people all the time about it. And in the stall next to me, the lady and I start talking about social nudism. And she's like, I can't do that because I have to lose 5 pounds. So that's the stigma, I think, is that you have to be perfect before you can even go. And that conversation in the loo turn out to be beautiful conversations because a woman's like, well, I didn't know. I still don't feel comfortable to do that, but I'll give her a pamphlet that I always carry with me and say, look, please look at my website. You are perfect just the way you are.
Yeah.
And trying out this social nudism will even give you more confidence than you ever thought possible.
Yeah. We can say it until we're blue in the face, but until you put yourself in that environment, and, it does take a lot to actually get yourself in that environment. But once you're there, then it will change your life. It really will.
Bring a friend with you.
Yeah. Someone once said to me, well, it's not like a tattoo. If you don't like it, just put your clothes back on.
Right.
Simple.
Yes, it's very simple. But it always seems to be the first 5 or 15 minutes in, everybody says, oh, this isn't as big of a deal or as weird as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Because nobody's staring or pointing and, no sirens went off.
But I remember thinking, like, the other women at the place that I went first, they must have so much confidence to do that. I can't do it. I'm not that confident. And, I wish I was as confident as these women that I saw. And I just thought there's no way I'd be able to do it. But I don't know whether Simon planned it with the gods or something, but it was such a hot day that day. And I
picked the right day, didn't he?
Yeah. And I just felt such an idiot in this dress, sweating on what was arguably the hottest day of the year.
Yeah.
I just did it, and then, nothing happened.
No.
Apart from I was a bit cooler.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Nobody was sick. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah. And isn't it sad that we think that,
That's because what we're taught to think, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It totally is.
We're taught our bodies are sexual and they're meant to be leered at by men. That's what we've learnt.
Yeah.
And now I'm learning completely the opposite.
Right.
It took until I was 45 to do that. And I wish someone had told me 20 years prior.
Right. Yep. See, that's why you got to talk to women in the bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
Talk to everybody. I mean, I talk to everybody all the time. It's just interesting that the most poignant conversations seem to come out of the intimate
toilet.
Toilet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Toilet talk.
Toilet talk.
Whole new meaning.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Right. So many survivors of abuse struggle, which we spoke about already, trust and personal boundaries. How does naturism, with its, putting yourself in what is considered a vulnerable situation because you're naked, how does that help in people overcoming challenges and finding empowerment, do you think?
I think having gone through the abuse as a little girl, I was more vulnerable to taking my clothes off and letting people see me. It was incredibly scary.
Yeah.
To do so, which is why I think I had my sarong on for so long. I was okay with, my top, but my belly. But I think it was just an added cover to hide myself for a while until I could go through the process of healing with my husband and his words, with the women in the clubs, giving me that healing that I needed to overcome that fear. So I know I wouldn't be in as good of a place as I am today had I not experienced social nudism. And now I'm just fully engulfed. It's my life. It's everything now. I wouldn't have the mental well-being that I have today, having gone through what I did as a child. I mean, I talked about it with a therapist. I talked about it with a pastor. I talked about it with other ladies, but it wasn't until social nudism and the peace and the calm that it gives you. And there's another phrase I'm trying to think of. It's power. I guess it's the power to take back your life and just let it go. Let it go.
Yeah, love it. It's true.
Gives you the right to do that for yourself, if that makes sense.
Oh, complete sense. Again, we have spoken a little bit about what women say to us, women that haven't experienced social nudity, and we hear it time and time again, is I don't have the body for that. It's great that you do, but I don't have the body for that. What's one sentence you can give them?
I have actually the quote that I want to tattoo on my body are the words that I tell people all the time.
Okay.
And I said to my body softly, I want to be your friend. It took a long breath and replied, I've been waiting my whole life for this.
Oh.
It's by Naira Wayeed. To finally become a friend with your own body opens up an entirely new world for you as a woman, as a person.
Yeah. And if you're nervous about going to a club or an organized event, what's some advice you would give?
Definitely taking a friend with you, and it can be a woman, it can be another man as well. Just take someone with you, but take a trusted friend with you. Give it a try, and then give it a certain amount of time. Don't just drive up and drive back out. Give it a chance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Getting through the front door or the gate is the hardest part.
It is.
And then you never look back. You never look back.
Because it's unknown. There's a huge unknown there. But once you know and experience it, then that's a big part of the battle there.
Yeah. Finally, have you got anything to add that you think I haven't covered or that you want to say that I haven't thought of yet?
I'd love women, if they'd like to go visit the womeninnuderecreation.com website and read everybody's stories.
Yeah.
Your picture's up there. Not everybody has a calendar, but they can certainly go read your story. They can read all the stories from last year, from the year before. And there's a new page or link that's called This Is My Story. And women are just sending me their stories. They want to share their stories.
That's great.
And so I have a few pictures up there or a few stories up there, and I'm adding to that all the time. But go check out the women's stories. See if you relate to one of them or many of them on many different levels. Send me your story.
Excellent. So that will be on the show notes as well if people want to have a look. And there's the British Naturism one as well. Yeah, that women are sharing their stories, and it's amazing to learn that you're not alone. You're not the only one that's had this experience, or that's empowering, the sharing and knowing you're not alone and you can recognize yourself in someone else's story, I think is golden.
Absolutely. Every stop I went on the tour after I shared my story, many women would come up and say, "Thank you for sharing my story."
Wow.
Which was a really humbling experience.
It is humbling, isn't it? And you just think, that is why I do it.
Yep. If I can help one person feel good about themselves, then it's totally worth it.
Yeah, I consider that a win.
Yeah.
Have you got any exciting projects coming up?
Just this year's campaign, the 2025 WOW campaign, and it'll be the 2026 calendar. I would love to get into making short videos, say for Instagram, on the oddities of naturism. I think video is the way to go as far as trying to reach more women with our stories. And, in order to do that on social media in a positive way.
British Naturism has done something similar called The Naked Truth. If you have a look at it on Instagram, and it's just little bite-sized clips of not necessarily funnies, but just chats, very, very short clips of naturism-based things.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, Andee, this has been great. Thank you ever so much. Like I said before, show notes will feature Andee's website. So if you want to get involved, you can certainly do that. So thank you very much, Andee.
Thank you so much, Helen. Wonderful having conversations with you.
You too. Take care.
Have a good day.
Thank you, Andee. If Andee's journey has resonated with you, I encourage you to take action today. Whether you're interested in body positivity or looking for a supportive community, there's a place for you. Follow Andee's work with the American Association of Nude Recreation, the WOW campaign, and her ongoing efforts to create safe, empowering environments for women. This episode in particular has highlighted the importance of joining associations like British Naturism or the American Association of Nude Recreation. Their organisations are providing access to advocate for naturist rights and challenge misconceptions about nudity. So if you're not already a member, look into it. Don't forget to subscribe to the Women in Focus podcast, like, thumbs up, all that stuff, and share this episode or any of the episodes with someone who might benefit, and let's continue to challenge societal standards together. We do like to hear from you at Women in Focus, so please write in. Email is on the show notes, and details of Women in Focus, the written series for British Naturism, will also be on the show notes. Thank you for listening to Women in Focus. I've been your host, Helen Berryman, and join us next time as we bring more women in focus.